16 million children are living in poverty in the United States. That's 22% of all children in the country. This means that their family income is around or less than $23,000 annually. These statistics are from the National Center for Children in Poverty. But now let's look at New Hampshire. There are 847 school-aged children that are homeless. So looking at the statistics, they're not too bad in New Hampshire because we have a poverty rate under 15%. So I'm disheartened by these numbers. What did I do? I became involved. What can you do? You can become involved in the community too. I spent over 35 hours volunteering this semester, and along with what I researched, I'd like to share what I've learned with you. First, I'd like to discuss the effects of poverty. Then, I'll dive right into my project. So, the physical effects of poverty can be detrimental to any child's life. The access to healthcare is definitely a problem, and that leads to difficulty in the treatment of disease and sickness. And when you get sick as a child, those things can become chronic. You can develop a chronic cough, and those things are really just a bummer for any child. The living conditions also have an effect because of exposure to disease. I know children, through my experiences, that have had lice more often than others, and you really just don't want these children living a different life than normal children. Malnutrition is another big impact that impoverished children have. And I was speaking with Erin King, who is the coordinator at the Friends program, and she has noticed that this is the biggest problem that you see in kids, because we all know that eating healthy can be expensive and also just difficult and time-consuming. And these kids really just don't have the needs necessary to eat healthy. Smoking is another really big impact that affects poverty. Biomed Central published a survey from the UK. The survey said that 1.1 million children, which is half the number of children living in poverty in the UK, were living in poverty with at least one parent who smokes. And we all know the detrimental effects of smoking. Secondhand smoke can be just as toxic as smoking, which can lead to lung cancer. So, the emotional effects. Emotional effects of poverty in children can affect their social development and also create behavioral problems. And in their development, it's so important as a child to get the healthy nutrients that you need to grow properly, but also the social development, how you're acting around your peers. Stress that children have can become chronic, and that's just such a bummer, because why should we have these 3rd and 4th graders that don't have a place to live? They really shouldn't be worrying about that and have to worry about the stress that normally most people don't have to deal with. The safety is a big effect of children in poverty, because, especially in an urban setting, because there's such a prevalence of gangs and violence and the use of drugs and exposure to drugs. And this isn't what we want our children to end up with. So these effects can cause major setbacks in any child's life. How can we expect them to perform in school when they're thinking about where they'll sleep that night, or if these children are hungry, or if they're stressed? And it's really not fair. So, how can we help? We can help by becoming involved in community programs. I decided to volunteer at the Friends Emergency Housing Program this semester. I became involved in the Friends program through their youth mentoring, and it's a really, really great program. When I went to visit the office around Christmas, I saw tons of bags of presents for the Christmas present drive, but things like that wouldn't be possible without the involvement and efforts of the community members. So my mentee, this is us doing Play-Doh the other day. We meet Monday afternoons, and we do crafts, puzzles, we play Play-Doh. She shows me all her awesome magic tricks. And she comes from a difficult household. And so that's hard to see sometimes, but it really just makes me want to get involved. The Friends program also has the foster grandparent program, which is really great. And they also have the retired and senior volunteer program. So now, the bulk of my project is the time I spent at the Friends Emergency House. Some background on the house: it is located in Concord on Thompson Street, and they can hold up to 8 families. And they don't have a waiting list or anything, so the families will call day to day to see if they can get in. You can stay for as long as you need. The Friends Emergency House is really saving lives, because these families with all these kids only families stay there, where would they be without the Friends Emergency House? So the first day, the lady was really nice to me, and she said, "So, do you want to work in the basement?" Well, I said yes. And so I attempted to organize the basement this semester. And there are so many donations down there, which is really, really great, but there's just no room. And also there are too many head-level pipes, as you can see in this picture. So the time in the basement, you think, sometimes I question myself of what the impact I was making. I was like, why am I wasting my time organizing this basement? So it proved to be a time of self-reflection, and I was trying to figure some things out while in the basement. I asked myself some questions like, why am I trying to organize this basement? Why do I care about this basement? And why did I hit my head again on that little copper pipe? Well, I figured out in my reflections that I'm doing it so the staff doesn't have to. And the staff can spend time changing the lives of the families that are in the house. Now, I wanted to volunteer in childcare too. They have weekly meetings every Wednesday, and they like to have volunteers watch the children so that the parents can focus. This was really difficult for me one day because I went and I requested to do childcare because it's staffed 24/7, so I can really go whenever. And the first person I saw was someone that I knew. I'm not the most emotional person necessarily, but I was really shaken by this because it's just a reminder that these people and these children are just regular children. They're just going through this hard time right now, and they just really need a hand. So, indirectly, the basement time was changing the lives of children in need. I am 17 years old, and I can't mend families. I'm not qualified to do that. I don't have money to give, but I realized what I do have to give is, what I can offer is my able body and time. So my basic revelations came out to be that I care. But I've also realized that what does caring mean if you don't do something about it? Well, the good news is we all can. We can become involved in the community and community programs. So recap, the Friends program has youth mentoring, they have emergency housing, they have foster grandparent, and they have the retired and senior volunteer program, which are all really great programs. I highly suggest becoming involved in the Friends program because they're organized and they'll help you do what you want in the community. The Boys and Girls Club have helped millions of children, whether it's through recreational sports, impoverished children, not impoverished children, and programs like this are really important for the social development of children so that they can spend time with their peers. School involvement is also really important for impoverished children or any children because they have shuttles. I know the Bow Elementary School has a shuttle for kids that live out of town. Maybe their parents don't have a car, their parents work and can't pick them up, and that's changing lives because those kids are able to get to school now. The soup kitchen is another great place to get involved. They're always looking for volunteers if you really want to make a difference in someone's life. And even doing things like donating for Toys for Tots any effort has the ability to make a difference and change life. And so that's why I believe we should all get involved. And so this has been my experience of getting involved. No matter what you do, whether you're personally impacting someone through a mentor program or the foster grandparent program, or if you're just organizing a basement, you're making a difference because you're putting your care into action, and that's what's changing lives.